Hello and welcome to today's episode of Simple Business Dream Life with me, Emma Hine. Today I want to talk to you about a visitor that I've been having in my home, a crow. So about 2 weeks ago, one started showing up, and I mean really showing up. If I'm in my office, it appears on the roof at the house behind us. If I'm in the kitchen, it's on the drive. I go for a walk and it follows me. I go out in the car and it's always sat on the same lamppost just down the road. Yesterday, I looked out of my bedroom window as soon as I woke up, and there it was, sitting on the thinnest little branch in the garden, just watching. And I'll be honest, at first, when this started happening, my initial reaction wasn't a good one. My mind went straight to bad news, to something's coming and it's not going to be good. But I did what I always do. I try and find the positive. I researched. I asked my Facebook friends what they thought it meant. What this crow was trying to tell me, because there was clearly something, it was far too persistent to be nothing. And what came back was transformation, new beginnings. Something is shifting, something is coming. And this crow is just sitting there saying, I know, I see it, I trust it, and I'm waiting for you to see and trust it too. And when I sit and really reflect on that, I was already feeling that. I've spoken a few times about it on my socials. I can feel something shifting. I feel something is right on the edge of clicking into place, but it hasn't fully landed yet. And so I'm sitting in this in-between space, knowing something is coming, but not quite being able to see fully what it is yet. And I think a lot of you are sitting in that same space right now. Maybe you've not got the crow sat on your windowsill like me, but you're sitting with that feeling that something is shifting, that something needs to change, that you're on the edge of something, but you can't quite see it clearly enough yet to know what you need to do with it. And that's what today's episode is about. It's about something that I think a lot of people are feeling, but not really talking about, not enough anyway. So, the online space right now, I'm sure you'll agree, feels a little bit uncomfortable. And I don't mean I'm here to point fingers at people. I'm not here to call people out or add to the noise that's already there. That's noisy enough. But I think if we're really honest with each other, there's something in the air at the minute that feels different. It feels different than how it did a year ago, probably even 6 months ago. There's more tension. More people are calling other people out. More of the kind of marketing that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but you can't quite put your finger on why. More people are pivoting. More of a sense that people are struggling, and some are responding to that struggle in ways that they don't feel great. There's more clicks. There's more of a sense that certain rooms are invite only, and if you're not in them, you're somehow not enough. And underneath all of that, there's something quieter, but in my opinion, even more unsettling. It's getting harder to know who to trust, who to learn from, who to invest in, who is genuinely showing up to help, and who has an agenda that isn't quite what it appears to be. But when trust starts to feel like a scarce resource in a space you spend a lot of time, then it feels exhausting. It feels lonely, and it makes everything feel harder than it needs to. Now, I'm not immune to this, by the way. I feel it too. I'm navigating it too. I'm sitting with questions about who to trust, what I actually need, what the right next move is. And I find that genuinely hard, even though I help people work this stuff out every single day of the week. Because it's always easier to see clearly for someone else. You'll have heard me say this before, you cannot read the label from inside the bottle. And that applies to all of us, however much it looks like we've got it figured out. So let's talk about trust a bit more, because I think this is genuinely something that's right at the heart of why so many people are wrestling with this right now. And I don't just mean trust in other people, I mean trust in ourselves too. Because when the outside world feels noisy and uncertain and hard to read, when you're not sure who to believe or what to follow or where to put your energy, your money, and your faith, the natural response is to look harder at the outside world for the answer. to find the right person, the right program, the right strategy, the thing that's going to make all of this confusing stuff make sense. But the louder the outside world gets, the harder it is to hear the one voice that actually knows what you really need. Because when you stop trusting your own instincts, when you override them with what everyone else is saying or doing or selling, you end up making decisions that look right from the outside, but don't feel great on the inside. You invest in something because the person is well known rather than because they're the right fit for where you are. You say yes to things because they sound impressive rather than because they actually move you in the direction you need to go. You follow advice that works brilliantly for someone else's business but doesn't quite work for yours. And then when it doesn't land the way that you hoped it would land, you start asking, what is wrong with me? You start questioning yourself. But nothing's wrong with you. You just stopped listening to yourself. Well known doesn't mean good. Popular doesn't mean right for you. And the fact that something worked for someone else doesn't mean it's what your business needs right now. Now, I've been there. I've invested for the wrong reasons. I've said yes because of the noise rather than because of my instincts. And every single time I've done that, it's not the money that it's cost me that's the problem. It's the time, the energy, and that little bit of confidence in my own judgment. So when I find myself being pulled in multiple directions right now, feeling like I should be doing this or investing in that, I keep trying to come back to something really simple. What do I actually need? Not what does everyone say I need, not what looks impressive or logical or like the right next move for me, but what do I actually need right now for this specific business at this specific moment? Now that question is harder to answer than it sounds, especially when the noise is so loud. So I want to go a bit deeper here because I think what's actually wobbling for people right now goes so much further than just who to invest in or who to trust in the online space. It's bigger than that. It's the, is my message actually landing question? The should I launch this offer or is it the wrong thing to launch question? The am I building the right thing question? The should I pivot question? The is any of this actually working question? And those are heavy things to carry, especially when you're carrying them alone, especially when everything around you feels loud and uncertain and everyone else appears to have it all figured out. And there's something here that I think it's really important to mention. In fact, I think some people are telling us it's not true. It's just that we're not doing it right. But the reality is it is tough out there right now. Really tough. Buying decisions are taking longer. People are more cautious with their money and their trust. Things that used to work relatively easy are requiring more consistency, more patience, and more resilience than they ever needed before. You're not imagining that. You're not failing. It is just genuinely harder right now. And here's where it gets interesting. When things get harder, the natural response is to reach outward for the next strategy, the next mentor, the next offer, the rebrand, the pivot, something that fixes the hard thing. And the online space, it's brilliant at offering you the next thing at exactly the moment you're most vulnerable to reach for it. And I do it too. When things feel uncertain, I find myself looking outward for the answer, wondering if this person has it, or that program is what's going to solve it, or this new direction everyone seems to be talking about. But every single time I've done that without first getting clear on what I actually want and what my business actually needs, I've ended up more confused, not less. More scattered with what I'm doing, not more focused. Because more input on top of unclear foundations doesn't bring clarity. It just adds more noise to what is already really noisy. But what does actually help, what actually cuts through all of it, is getting really honest with what do you really want? Not what looks impressive, not what everyone else is doing, not what the noise is telling you that you should want. What do you genuinely want your business to look like? What does your dream life actually look like? What are you actually building? And more importantly, why are you building it? Because when you get clear on that, like really super clear, not surface level clear, but properly honest with yourself clear, the bigger questions, they start to answer themselves. The message question gets easier because you know exactly who you're talking to and why you're talking to them. The offer question gets easier because you know what problem you're genuinely here to solve. The pivot question gets easier because you know what you're actually building towards and whether the new direction takes you closer to that or further away. And then there's your values. They're the filter you run everything through once you have that clarity. They tell you whether the path you're considering actually fits the person you want to be and the business you want to build. That's where my own values are doing so much work for me right now. Just because you can, it doesn't mean you should. It's not where I start, but it stops me going in the wrong direction when the noise gets loud. That is one of my core values. And from working with business owners at every level, I know that when people get that clarity, when they stop reaching outward and get really honest about what they actually want, everything shifts. The noise quietens, the decisions get easier, the right things start to fall into place. And guess what? The money follows. Not because they found a better strategy, because they finally fully invested in the right thing rather than half invested in everything. Now that's the transformation the crow is pointing to. Not a new strategy, not a new direction, a new level of clarity about what you're actually building and why. And that clarity was always inside you. It's just been a bit hard to hear lately. I looked out the window again this morning, and that crow was still there, sitting on that same thin branch, watching. And I've stopped feeling unsettled about it, because I think I understand what it's trying to tell me now. Not that something bad is coming, not that I need to be afraid of what's shifting, but the transformation is already happening. That new beginnings are already on the way. That the in-between I'm sitting in right now isn't a problem to be solved. It's a process to be trusted. And maybe that's true for you too. Maybe the discomfort you're feeling right now, that uncertainty, the noise, the not quite knowing who to trust or what to do next, maybe that's not a sign that something is wrong. Maybe it's a sign that something is changing. And change, even the good kind, always feels uncomfortable before it feels exciting. You don't have to have it all figured out today. You don't have to know exactly what that transformation looks like or when it's going to land. You just have to keep listening to yourself, to your instincts, to the quiet voice underneath all of that noise that already knows exactly what you need. The crow, it knows. And I think somewhere underneath everything else, so do you. So here's your action for this week. And I want it to be a gentle one because I think gentle is what's needed right now. Find 10 minutes, just 10, somewhere quiet where the noise can't reach you, and sit with this one question. What do I actually need right now? Not what I should do, not what is everyone else is doing, not what looks like the right move from the outside. What do I actually need for this business at this moment, in this exact season we're in? And I want you to write down whatever comes up. I don't want you to edit it. I don't want you to judge it. I don't want you to immediately start working out if it's logical, affordable, or what anyone else will think. I just want you to write it down because the answer is already there. It's just waiting for you to get quiet enough to hear it. The crow will keep showing up until the message lands. So make sure you're listening. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.